In this next video, I'll take you through some of the more common types of questions in Moodle quizzes, as well as show you how to make some of them. Remember, as always, to start off by turning your editing function on. If this is turned off, you can't do anything else in Moodle. Once that's turned on, move to Administration, choose Question Bank, and within Question Bank, choose Questions. This will take us to a list of all of our categories. Ordinarily, these would not be populated by any questions, but I've already added some questions in here to show you some of the types. So let's choose quiz number 1. Within quiz number 1, I've added 10 different types of questions to show you. So notice that there are a series of icons next to each question. Each one of those icons has a function. This icon deletes the question. This icon opens up the interface, which allows me to edit the question. This duplicates the question if I just like to change a word or two. For example, maybe I wanted a multiple choice, and I would like to choose it to a negative. So which is not rather than which is. And finally, this option here gives us the ability to take a student's view of what the question might look like. So let's start off by looking at the question types. The most common type to be used within Moodle quizzes is a multiple choice question. This is exactly as it would be on a exam or any other kind of interface. It's a basic question as well as a number of options. These options automatically rearrange each time the question is taken, although you can turn off that feature if you'd like. You're not limited to 4 options. You can put on a number of options, and you can give partial marks for some partially correct answers if you choose. Probably the next most common question that you might want to do is a short answer. Now, in a Moodle context, a short answer is not what we're used to thinking about in a regular exam context. In a Moodle short answer, really what we're looking at is 1 or 2 words. Beyond 1 or 2 correct words, the Moodle marking scheme is really not able to handle it. There are ways of doing longer questions, but you're going to have to manually grade those yourself. So in this example here, the answer I have chosen is a single word. And that word needs to be typed exactly correctly, otherwise it will not be correct. So for example, I just mistyped it. So that would have been a wrong answer if a student had submitted that. Next up, we have numerical questions. Numerical question allows you to answer to have a specific numerical value, and you can put errors associated with that. So how old is the Earth? The Earth is 5.54 billion years old. And I gave this an error range of about 500 million years to allow the students some wiggle room. Next up, we have true or false. Matching questions allow you to make a list of a number of different categories. This, as an aside, was not actually a question in my exam. And in this case, I've given 3 possibilities. But I could make that list much longer of possibilities if I wanted to make the question harder. I can also put far more than just 2 possible options to match up on this side. An all or nothing multiple choice allows you to create a multiple choice question with more than 1 correct answer. So in this case, the correct answer is all of these questions, all of these options. So if a student had only answered partially, they would have either gotten no marks for the question or partial marks for the question, depending on how I had set it up. A fill in the blanks question allows you to give multiple choices and forces the students to choose one of those options within it. Here I've created 2, but I could put 3 or 4 if I wanted to. I could have an entire passage if I wanted to, and they had to fill in words within there. So these can be used not only for factual things, they could be used for grammatical decisions or other options that allowed you to choose a particular word or small set of words for a context. The final category of question that you're likely to use is an essay question. So again, don't think of an essay question as an actual essay, although you could. You can limit or allow large amounts of answers. You can also even allow students to upload Word files if you choose to. But I usually utilize these questions in the way that you would normally use a short answer question in a actual paper exam. So I usually use these if I want the student to write me full sentences or, say, a paragraph of an answer. These questions can't be set up for automatic marking. you need to actually go in and do these yourself, although you can mix them in with other automatically graded questions. These questions, though, you'll have to come in after the fact to grade to complete the exam. Now I want to show you one final example. This gives you an idea of the kinds of really interesting questions if you get really excited about Moodle quizzes that you can produce. These are two draggable questions that I've added images to. And you can add images, you can add 360-degree diagrams, you can add a lot of different things. It can be embedded if you use HTML within a Moodle quiz. So in this case, I've put in an image of a rock, and I want the students to be able to identify which one of these minerals are shown by each letter. And so each student needs to drag up one of these options and put it in a place. So here we go, and there we go, and quartz right there, and that is the correct answer. Here's another example of the same question type, except in this one I haven't utilized a image. Instead, I have used a suite of categories of minerals, and then each one needs to be matched by the broader category that it belongs to. So a native element, for example, is copper. Which one of these ones is a silicate? Right? Which one of these guys is a silicate? My silicate is right down here, is olivine. And you can get really as creative as you want here. Now, the downside of these questions is not only are they a little bit more complicated to make and a little more time consuming than, say, a multiple choice or a fill in the blank question, but also there's a lot more room for things to go wrong. If a student tries to utilize a question like this on a phone, they're far more likely to run into problems than they are with a simpler type of question. So I'd really recommend you save these for when you have a little bit more time and you're sure that the students are actually able to answer these questions, to access the quiz via a laptop computer or a tablet or something a little larger. But it does show you the potential you really can have within these Moodle quizzes. All right, let's take a look by using the editing feature at how the architecture of some of these questions actually works. And we'll start off with the simplest one, which is a multiple choice question. So by opening it up in the edit feature, we get to see exactly the same image that we would have had if I had chose to create a question. So the first thing you're going to see is that there is a question name. This field needs to be filled in. I usually just duplicate the question text right over here. So the question text is what the students are actually going to see. This the students never see. This is just to allow the questions to be sorted within within the list there. Now, if you wanted the questions to stay in a specific order, what people do sometimes is they give this a numerical value, and Moodle will automatically then sort them by numerical value. That's just kind of a little trick. So here is my question. I have a default mark of 1. If I wanted to weight this question more heavily, I could change the mark there. I can add feedback in this section. I don't normally do this, but you can. You can give one or you can give multiple answers. So for example, if there are multiple correct answers in here, then within it, I'm just going to add each question. I'm going to write it out, and then I'm going to indicate whether each possible answer, is correct or not. So I'm going to give it a grade of 100%, or if you wanted, you could give it partial marks as well, all the ways down to negative marks if you choose to go that direction. So for each one of my options, I have to choose a grade option, and you can see I have chosen an all or nothing, so that you either get 100% or you get nothing. Now I have 4 options here, but I could quite easily add some additional options just by clicking this link right here, and you can add them 3 at a time, 3 more options like this. If you want to get more complicated, you have options like allowing the students to take this thing more than once and penalizing them. And you can do these for all the different question types. To be honest, I rarely employ this option, but if you want the students to really learn as they're taking the exam, this is an option you can use to really add some more kind of a formative feedback assessment aspect to it. So let's go and take a look at the architecture of another one of the common question types. So let's just move down to a multiple choice question. Oh, I've jumped into the wrong category here, but that's fine. We'll move all the ways down to the bottom where our multiple choice questions live, and we'll pick a multiple choice question at random. So let's edit this one right here. So when I'm designing the multiple choice question, it's the same situation where I need to have both the question name and the question text. Again, I usually just duplicate these just for ease of construction. Then I need a mark. And then finally, I'm just going to choose which of the 2 options is correct. In this case, the correct action. If I wanted to change the question, for example, we'll make it the negative. The basin and range province is caused by extension. Now that answer is correct, in which case I'm going to move down here and I'm just going to make the correct answer true. And I will save that question. It's always a little bit of a lag at each step. I'll just show you actually how to create one from scratch. So when we choose create a new question, you're going to see a whole series of options. These are all the categories I've showed you before. So let's say we choose an essay question. I'm going to add that here. And you're going to see the interface is largely the same in general. So I need my question name, and this can be whatever I would like. Let's say, how old is the Earth? And how do we know? Question mark. Again, I usually just cut and paste this and make that be my question text so they're duplicated. And then I can go in here. This is going to choose the size of the box that they're actually entering text into. So 15 lines. I usually make it a little bit larger. Am I going to allow attachments? No, but again, you could actually allow students to upload papers. This is one way of doing it in here. And you could, if you had an assistant helping you to grade it, you could put a rubric in here, for example, as well. But I'm going to be doing the grading myself, so I can leave all of that blank. And I'm going to save that change, and my question is now complete. So that's the basic interface for all of these questions. So once your questions are done, the next step is integrating them into an exam, and that is going to be the next video.